let's start with a salad. Just like quiche, salads, and what I'm making, the culinary term is a compound salad. A compound salad is different from a mixed green salad. That's how you know the difference. A compound salad can be something like a tuna salad. It can be a pasta salad. It can be the grain salad and kale salad that we're going to make today. The great thing about compound salads is it can be a one-dish meal. If you add beans, if you add grains, you can put a piece of meat or fish on it. It's a way to use up the odds and end veggies again in your refrigerator, just like we talked about with the quiche. And a compound salad is an excellent way to get colors and flavors and textures and spices into your food and to introduce your little ones to all of that. This kale salad that I'm going to make, kids may, especially toddlers, right, may turn up their nose to this when they see all of this, but you know what? They might eat the tomatoes out of it. They might eat the carrots and the cucumbers. And it gives you a great opportunity to talk about all of these different foods and all of these different flavors. So go back to third grade. What are your tastes? What is it? Salty, sweet, bitter, right? Sour. Is that all of them?
Spicy.
Spicy. And then what's the other one? The umami. Is that the right? Is that the right? That's where you get. That's that earthy flavor that you get from mushrooms and things. So generally speaking, when you cook, you want to try to hit as many of those as you can. You also want to interject colors and textures and different seasonings to kind of bring it all together. So let's start with a kale salad. Going back to kind of those convenience foods, I buy the bagged kale. I don't mess around with buying whole kale and washing it and picking it and all that stuff. So I buy the bagged kale. I do go through it though, and I pick those kind of thicker stems. They're certainly edible, but for this salad, I just like to pick them out. It takes a couple of minutes to do that. How many of you work with kale? How many of you like to eat kale? Excellent, I love it. Okay. So, a big, huge bowl of kale. We're going, and hands are my favorite tool. I encourage you all to use your hands when you get into the kitchen. We're going to make a very simple vinaigrette. This is that harvest salad. It's in the small packet if you want to follow along. The way I'm going to make it, it's gluten-free and vegan. If you decide you want to sweeten it up and use honey, which is my favorite sweetener, then of course it's no longer vegan. Okay? I'm going to make a vinaigrette in a mason jar. Does anybody do this? Yeah. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Grab a mason jar and a lid. And as you know, get to know me, you'll know that I don't measure stuff. Yeah, well, I'm lazy. Apple cider vinegar, another great food. It's got a lot of health benefits. Do you know any of some people use it to detax. What else?
It's used to detox. It's supposedly to neutralize the pH of your blood. There's a lot of health benefits to apple cider vinegar. You don't want to drink it raw though, because it can be really abrasive to your trachea and all of that. So you do want to combine it with things, but it is supposed to be very good for your metabolism and increase your metabolism. So it is a very healthy. Vinegar is a very healthy food, but yes, just combine it with things a little bit, like in a tea with a little sweetener, like a honey or something like that. Really good, and it can help curb appetite too.
So yep, and it's delicious. That's my 2 cents. Okay, cumin. Usually used in Mexican cooking, right? And Indian, yep. Turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory, also gives great color to whatever you're doing. And I'm just going to share. We'll start with a little, we'll add more if we need to. The acid will start to break this kale down. And of course, all of you who eat kale, you know that in just a moment, this will be half the volume that it was.
And this is really great for kale when you're eating kale, because a lot of the nutrients that are in kale they're a little bit hard to digest. It's hard to get the nutrients out of the kale. So you really, when you're doing raw kale that's not worked like this, you really have to chew to be able to get all those nutrients out. Yes.
So one thing I do with my kale for like my daughter, she's 3, and she'll eat it, but I pulse it in the food processor with the salad dressing.
Yeah.
So then that way it breaks it down more and it's easier for her.
Yes,
Excellent.
easier to get all the nutrients and to digest it. Yes, but it's probably, I would call kale like the healthiest thing you can eat, pretty much. When you think about the nutrient density. So like, and that's something that I put in the booklet, is to try to think about food a little bit differently and think about food as fuel and as nutrients. And when you look at the nutrient density of something, so how much nutrients does it have per calorie? Okay, kale is way up there. It's a cruciferous vegetable. All of the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, radishes, cauliflower, watercress, bok choy, those are all cruciferous vegetables, and they're extremely healthy for you. They're full of antioxidants, full of vitamins. So as much of those types of things as you can put into your diet, the better.
And I didn't grow up eating greens, so I have a hard time eating greens. I don't like collards or Swiss chard. Kale is a stretch for me. But if it's prepared in the best way, you like it. And I think a lot of folks that say, I don't like this or I don't like that, they just have never had it prepared in its optimal way. So if there is a food that you don't like, I encourage you to try a different cooking method and see if you like it more. For example, broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, I love it roasted. But boiling it or steaming it, it's awful, isn't it?
It really takes the bitterness down, because I think in a lot of cruciferous vegetables, there's a bitter taste to a lot of cruciferous vegetables, and when you roast it, like specifically cauliflower too, it really reduces the bitterness.
And toss it with some turmeric and olive oil and garlic when you roast it, and that adds a really neat flavor. So again, those of you that use kale, you know that it just reduces by about half. Let me pull up the recipe so I do it some justice. And you do that. Now, as I read a recipe, I want to encourage you to not be held hostage by your recipes. If you have a recipe and you're short a couple ingredients, or one ingredient doesn't necessarily appeal to you, don't throw the recipe out. Don't give up on it. Think a little bit. Think about those flavors, the sweet, the salty, the bitter. Think about things that you can substitute in or out, or just leave out, okay? We find that so many times that people, if they can't follow the recipe, they won't. Parsley, it's fresh, it's colorful, it's not a garnish.
Again, really great for you.
Yep.
Full of minerals and vitamins, all of the herbs.
And notice I pulled up the recipe, but I'm not even looking at it. Did anybody pick up on that? Tomatoes, look at that color against the green. Cucumber, this is going to lighten that dish. Tricolored peppers. Here's your crunch and a little bit of earthiness. Carrots, again, color, crunch, texture. You have a different shape of the vegetable versus the cubed peppers.
And all of those, the colors usually
pretty
represent
that
different types of vitamins and minerals and things. And the yellows and the reds, you've got the carotenoids. So you want to get a lot of variety in the colors of your food, because that's kind of telling you that you're getting a variety of nutrients.
So we have the bitter of the kale, sweet of the raisins. We have kind of that earthiness, that umami of the quinoa. Have some acidity from the vinegar. We're gonna have some more acidity with the lemons. This lemon juice will brighten and lighten and give a freshness, oops, to the salad.
Quinoa is a really wonderful grain because it actually has a lot of protein in it, and it's a whole grain, and it's basically the seed. And so it really fills you up a little bit better than like a rice would, and it has more protein and has a lot of great nutrients in it. You can even, with the quinoa, if you want to, you can soak it for a little bit before you use it, maybe like 2 to 4 hours, and that'll actually start the sprouting process. So even more nutrients will be released, and you'll have access to more nutrients when you eat it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could sprout quinoa.
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna try this. We're gonna divvy it out into cups. This will last in your refrigerator for a good 3 or 4 days, especially if it's stored in a good, tight container. Pull it out as a side salad or a complete meal, like I said before. Add some fish or chicken to it. Isn't that pretty? Let's check this out.
This is where you're so good, Jen. She knows just how to like pick something out and go, yep, it needs a little bit more of this.
Well, we'll see. Is anyone in here a vegan?
Vegetarian.
Okay, can I add some honey?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna add a little honey. Please, may I add some honey? We'll add a little honey to this. Honey's another thing. The higher the quality, the better the product. Have you seen those fake honeys or sugar-free honeys? What in the world is that all about? So local honey's great.
And actually, when you go with local honey, it actually, it's been said that it can help with allergies too, because yeah, because they're pollinating local plant. Those bees are pollinating local plants. You know, those are the pollens that you're exposed to, are all the local pollens. So it is supposed to help with allergies when you eat